I remember that cold December day in 2022. I went out with the dream of making a movie. This is what I captured instead: fragments of a story that never quite came together. I used several vintage point-and-shoot cameras as well as my iPhone 8. I had it all mapped out in my head. A quiet college campus during winter break. Right here, actually, the Claremont colleges. These buildings, these pathways. I imagined an ensemble of young adults who stayed behind while everyone else went home for the holidays. The actors and actresses I envisioned for the film would drift between spaces like this: modern buildings and old towers, art installations that made you stop and think. I wanted to capture that feeling of being in your 20s trying to explain yourself to someone who's also just barely figured anything out. The idea came from a place I knew well. When I was their age, life wasn't easy. I bounced from one bad relationship to another, struggled to find stability. I remembered how deeply I wanted someone to talk to back then, someone who understood. So I imagined these characters, wandering through scenes just like this. Past sculptures that seemed to tell their own stories. Art that made you pause, made you wonder what the artist was thinking, what they were trying to say. But winter break turned to the Christmas season. The holiday decorations started appearing, and I kept filming. I started writing scenes, not in proper screenplay format, just messy, handwritten fragments in a notebook. I thought maybe I could float the idea online, find some local actors, maybe connect with a theater troupe willing to experiment. But that idea went nowhere. I was told, kindly or not, that actors are professionals. They expect to be paid. And besides, who would sign on to a no-budget project from a no-name filmmaker? Still, I wasn't deterred. I kept filming whatever caught my eye. The Christmas decorations, the way light fell on ordinary things, the way Santa Claus drove a city transit bus. There's a reason this image is so powerful. In our lives and in our stories. The train pulling away from the station. It's the perfect symbol for both a beginning and an end, held in the very same moment. It's the promise of the future, measured against the weight of what's left behind on the platform. With every foot of track, the world outside the window blurs into memory. And even here, at our own Claremont station, you feel that pull. The train doesn't know its own story. It only knows its direction is forward, And perhaps that's the only thing any of us can really do. I thought maybe I'd assemble something later, just enough to get the creative juices flowing. The mountains in the background reminded me that this place had its own character, its own story to tell. But there was a sense that time and my chances were slipping away, and all I had were bits of footage like this. No actors, no scenes, just fragments. Beautiful fragments, maybe, but fragments nonetheless. My eyes are playing tricks on me. I'm not just seeing one tree. I'm seeing all of them. Every ornament is a quiet echo of a past December, a ghost of a younger self, of faces gathered around, some now only here in memory. And you realize the warmth from this tree doesn't just come from the lights. It comes from the glow of every Christmas that came before. I even reached out to some of my former students. One of them works in film now. While no one said it was a stupid idea, no one exactly jumped in to help either. The kind of, sounds cool, good luck, you say, when you really mean, no thanks. A school of theology is more than just buildings. It's a vessel for humanity's most profound questions, but the questions have fallen silent here. The loudest sound on the Claremont campus now is the absence, the echo of decades of debate, prayer, and searching. The spirit has left this body, and what remains is a beautiful, hollowed monument to a faith that has moved on. So I began working on what I started calling an actorless film. Sometimes I'd find these perfect moments, like this street musician, and I'd think, this is it. This is the soul of what I was trying to capture. But how do you build a movie around moments like these? I started driving around more, filming from the car, trying to see the town the way my characters might see it. In the rain, everything looked different, more cinematic somehow, more like the movie I had in my head. Your eye catches her first, and then through a long lens, a single private world, a woman and her dog, lost in their own simple rhythm. But the truth was becoming clearer. Filmmaking is collaborative, and no one wants to collaborate with nobody. That was the conundrum I could never solve. How does a nobody become somebody? One thing was becoming obvious to me. I needed to become someone people are willing to follow, even for a little while. Someone who earns the trust of other creatives. But how was I supposed to do that? I was a nobody from nowhere. I still don't know the answer to that question. So the only actor became me. I shot footage of myself sitting on benches, staring at the sky or into the distance, trying to look contemplative, trying to look like someone with something to say. A walk is never just a walk, is it? It's a way of collecting fragments. You pass a building of glass and steel, gleaming with a future. A few steps later, you're touching the cold, weathered stone of a wall that's seen a century of students. You see it all in pieces. A splash of paint on a utility box, the silent gaze of a metal sculpture, the distant view of a snow-capped mountain. They feel disconnected, like random moments from different lives. But as you keep walking, you realize they aren't random at all. They're threads, and with every step, you're pulling them together, weaving them into a single, coherent story. Maybe the meaning isn't in any one piece of art or any single building, but in the path that connects them all, the path you're walking right now. But you know what I discovered? This place tells its own stories. Every wall, every corner. The street artists understood something I was still learning. that art doesn't wait for permission. They just put it out there, raw, unfiltered, honest. Maybe that's what I should have done from the beginning. The official art installations seem to be having conversations with each other. Modern pieces next to whimsical holiday decorations. High art next to pop culture. It all somehow worked together. The musicians kept playing, the days kept following each other, and life kept happening around me while I was trying to figure out how to capture it. I realized that maybe the movie I was trying to make was already being made. by everyone who lived here, by everyone who walked these streets and looked at these houses and wondered about the stories inside. Even this monument to trees seemed to understand something about storytelling. Every name carved here represents growth, time, change. The things that happen slowly, the way real stories actually unfold. You feel the history in a place like this with every step. Not just in the grand statements, the architecture, the permanent sculptures that stand like sentinels through the seasons. You feel it in the whispers, too. The echo of a saxophone note from a festive evening. The fleeting light of holiday decorations, here for a moment and then gone. The ghosts of countless other footsteps on this very same path. You see the rush of cars, the quiet of a campus at dawn, the warmth of a crowd. It's a river of moments constantly flowing. And perhaps that's what this film is. Not a statement, but a vessel. An attempt to cup your hands and hold that flowing river just for a minute. To capture the echoes and say, this was here. This was real. I was here. A college town has its own pulse, and you can feel it right here in Claremont. It's a place of constant motion, disguised by quiet moments of waiting. Arrival brings a new story, a new set of dreams. Every departure marks the end of a chapter. You watch them go, and you realize this town is a beautiful temporary stage for 1,000 different journeys. Just when you think you know every rhythm of this town, nature plays a note you never expected, blanketing the familiar in silent, breathtaking wonder. Now, a few years later, I've started pulling together all these scraps. What you're watching now, a kind of quiet post-mortem on the movie I never made. Amid the architecture and the art, this is the true soul of the town, not in a gallery, but right here on the sidewalk. Musicians give the streets a heartbeat, a spontaneous soundtrack for our daily lives, reminding us that community is a beautiful sound. I still can't say what my movie was supposed to be, or why it never happened. But maybe it did happen, in a way. Just not the way I planned. So now I just post these clips, here and there, on YouTube. Not with a plan, not to impress anyone, just to imagine what might have been, just to remember the movie I never made. The ghost of a film that lives only in fragments, in the spaces between what was dreamed and what was possible. And maybe that's okay. Maybe that's enough.